Yep. Okay.
Visitors, personal guests, and personal guests. Well, we are
friends and personal guests. I'm assuming, yeah. We lead everything. Navy, Marine Corps, we just get the front.
Oh, yeah.
We're right here, sir.
Gunny, don't even be that presumptuous. We're back here.
Yeah, I don't see them.
Sir, we can race today.
Yeah.
Well, in literally every function ever, we're always behind. Oh, shit. I think it's a fairly new sign that we have, so. We want to go yell at the I do appreciate that. I don't really have a problem. I'm actually surprised. I wasn't expecting to get caught.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Virginia Military Institute and today's full dress review parade, acknowledging the arrival of the 15th Superintendent of VMI, Major General Cedric T. Wins, U.S. Army retired. VMI class of 1985, many of whom are present here today to honor their brother Rat. Ladies and gentlemen, I direct your attention to the west end of the parade ground, where the VMI faculty and distinguished guests are emerging from Moody Hall in academic procession. Once the faculty and guests have been seated, the review will begin.
going.
We welcome the distinguished guests and president or representatives from the following colleges, universities, and academies today. Deputy Secretary Fran Bradford, Office of the Secretary of Education. Dr. Janice Underwood, Chief Diversity Officer. Senator Thomas Normant. Mayor Frank Friedman, Mayor of Lexington. Mr. Jim Halaz, Lexington City Manager. Lieutenant General John Knapp, VMI's 12th Superintendent. Miss Barbara L. Johnson, representing College of William and Mary. President Pamela Fox, President of Mary Baldwin University. Captain Michael Sebastino, representing the Citadel. President William C. Dudley, President of Washington and Lee University. Dr. Tim Miller, representing James Madison University. Mr. Clarence W. Tweedy III, representing University of Mary Washington. Provost Augustine Ago, representing Old Dominion University. President Debbie L. Saito, President of Richard Bland College. Mr. James Cook, Representing Dabney S. Lancaster Community College, Brigadier General Teresa A.H. Durgic, Commandant of the Virginia Women's Institute for Leadership. We are also honored and pleased to have many other distinguished guests here today from government, industry, academia, our armed forces, and the VMI family, too many to name individually.
Who was it? Hi. Yeah, I wanted it after I wanted it to take credit.
I guess this is it, right?
This is it.
I also felt a little bit insecure as I was walking along.
Where to stop? Yeah.
Taking their position on the parade line is this year's cadet regimental staff. The regimental executive officer is Cadet Captain Robert T. Heft, an economics and business major from Norfolk, Virginia. The regimental S1 adjutant is Cadet Lieutenant Tyler S. Greeley, an international studies major from Marshall, Virginia. The regimental S2 in charge of academics is Cadet Captain Alex N. Rice, an electrical and computer engineering major from Tampa, Florida. The regimental S3 in charge of operations and training is Cadet Captain Samuel Z. Houchin, an economics and business major from Fredericksburg, Virginia. The regimental S4 in charge of supply and logistics is Cadet Captain Bridget A. Hughes, an international studies major from Thousand Oaks, California. The regimental S5 in charge of public relations is Cadet Captain Dane R. Hamilton, a mechanical engineering major from Chattanooga, Tennessee. The regimental S6 in charge of athletics is Cadet Captain Jonathan Gray III, an economics and business major from Stafford, Virginia. The Regimental S7, in charge of morale, welfare, and recreation, is Lieutenant Christina A. Skaggs, an English major from Manassas, Virginia. The regimental adjutant now orders the Corps to fix bayonets, a long-time tradition at VMI.
Take! Bayonet! Bring your battalions to present arms! Present! Up! Present! Up!
The regimental adjutant now presents the Corps to the regimental commander, Cadet First Captain Casey G. Meredith, an international studies major from Johnstown, Pennsylvania.
Bring your battalions! Order arms! Order! Up! Order! Up! Order!
The regimental commander will now drill the Corps in rifle manual. Throughout history, military units have had a form of drill to teach their troops how to work effectively together and demonstrate military proficiency. The manual used by the Corps today is based on the manual adopted by the Continental Army in 1779.
Report! Present! All prisoners accounted for! Second battalion! All present or accounted for! Third battalion! All present or accounted for!
The regimental adjutant will now publish the orders of the day. The orders of the day are used to inform the Corps of any pertinent information for the upcoming duty day.
Attention to orders! Guard to WTP engaged! Officer in charge! Master Sergeant DeCoster! Officer of the day! Cadet DeCoster! Officer of the guard! Cadet Matea! By order of Colonel Bogart! Bring your battalion to parade break! All right! Huts! All right! Huts! All right!
The regimental commander now directs the regimental band to sound off. The regimental band and pipe band are composed of over 150 cadet musicians from all 4 classes of the Institute. The band and its component units perform over 100 times annually.
Stand! Down! Up!
Ladies and gentlemen, the regimental commander now presents the Corps to today's reviewing officer, the 15th Superintendent of VMI, Major General Cedric T. Wins. Please rise for the playing of honors and the 13-gun salute. Uniformed personnel are reminded that they should render the hand salute for the duration of honors. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
Bring your batons, order up, and parade rest.
Order! Arm! Array! Rest!
At this time, the regimental commander will bring her officers forward. This part of the review originally was used to afford the regimental commander and reviewing officer an opportunity to inspect the officers and to pass orders and guidance in preparation for battle.
Officers! Center! March!
The regimental commander has just presented the Corps to the reviewing officer for inspection. Inspecting the Corps and trooping the line today is Major General Wins and Mr. Tommen R. Watson, President of the Board of Visitors and member of the VMI class of 1976. The regimental commander will now bring the colors forward for honors to the nation.
Colors! Set, turn! March! Bring your battalion! Present arms!
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the playing of our national anthem. It is proper at this time to place your right hand over your heart. Uniformed personnel should render the military salute. Members and veterans of the armed forces not in uniform may also render the same courtesy. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
Bring your battalion to order arms!
Order! 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 Colors. Ready. Cut.
The 3rd Institute and Corps Sergeant Major William T. Sowers, United States Marine Corps retired, now retrieves the VMI regimental flag from the color guard. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the Board of Visitors will now conduct the ceremony symbolizing the arrival of Major General Wins as VMI's new superintendent. The Institute and Corps Sergeant Major, having requested the VMI Color Guard to relinquish control of the VMI regimental flag, passes the flag to Mr. Watson. Who in his role as President of the Board of Visitors passes the flag and with it the position of Superintendent to Major General Wins. Major General Wins will then return the flag to the Institute and Corps Sergeant Major with instructions to entrust it as a symbol of leadership of the Corps of VMI and a cadet regiment represented by the Color Guard.
Bring your baton, parade bus!
All right. Rest. All right. Rest.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to present to you the President of the VMI Board of Visitors, Mr. Thomas Watson.
General and Mrs. Wins, family, honored guests, faculty, staff, and members of the VMI Corps of Cadets, good afternoon. Each superintendent since 1839 has been formally acknowledged and inaugurated by the VMI Board of Visitors in the presence of cadets, faculty, staff, and friends of the Institute. And it's my sincere honor as the current president of the Board of Visitors to do so again today. Throughout VMI's history, the appointment of a superintendent has always been one of the Board of Visitors' most important responsibilities, essentially selecting the individual responsible for assuring that we continue to produce future leaders of character in the footsteps of Nobel Peace Prize recipient General George C. Marshall and civil rights martyr Jonathan Daniels. It's clear from the results over the more than 180 years, our boards have chosen wisely, with each superintendent bringing unique talents and experiences and strong leadership to the Institute. Leadership that both respects the traditions and mission of the Institute and also recognizes the need to assure that we are adapting to the ever-changing world in which we find ourselves. Today is my sincere honor to welcome and inaugurate our 15th VMI Superintendent, General Cedric T. Wins, class of 1985. Following graduation, and I might add a very significant and productive athletic career here at the Institute, he enjoyed a highly successful 34-year career in the U.S. Army, where he held a variety of key positions and received numerous awards for his service. He has exhibited throughout his career the qualities necessary in our superintendent and also in our graduates: honor, integrity, character, leadership, competitiveness, humility, and above all, a desire to serve this nation, this school, his family, and community. He hasn't achieved all these alone, and I'd like to recognize and welcome his partner through this journey, Cedric's wife, Cassandra, who is seated off to my left. Now, sir, will you please join me at the lectern? On behalf of the Board of Visitors, with the support of the entire VMI community, I present you with this key to the original VMI arsenal. From humble beginnings, VMI has become known and respected across this nation and around the world for the impact its graduates are having across all walks of life. Please keep it as a reminder of VMI's rich mission and purpose and the responsibility you have, just as those who held this position before you, to lead this very unique institution into the future.
Mr. Watson now presents the key to the arsenal as a symbol of Major General Wins' assumption to the position of superintendent, and a bouquet of roses presented to Ms. Wins.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have the distinct privilege of introducing to you the 15th Superintendent of the Virginia Military Institute, General Cedric T. Wins, VMI Class of 1985. General Wins.
Good afternoon. First of all, to Mr. Watson, thank you. I accept with humility, gratitude, and a high sense of personal commitment this key to the arsenal as a symbol of my authority as VMI's 15th Superintendent. As I stand before you today, looking out over the Corps of Cadets, and they look magnificent, I see such a wonderful sight full of natural beauty steeped in history. A view cherished by all VMI alumni, and especially dear to my heart. It is an inspiring sight that brings to mind the rich heritage of our institute and its bright future filled with promise. VMI is a special community, a community of scholars, a community of officers, educators, and coaches, a community of future leaders. We are also citizens with our distinguished neighbor, Washington and Lee University, and the historic town of Lexington. I want to express my warmest thanks for the welcome that my family and I have received from the VMI community, from President Will Dudley and Washington Lee University, and from the Lexington community and Mayor Frank Friedman since our arrival over 10 months ago. I'm especially grateful for the presence today of so many friends, friends of the Institute, current and past members of the VMI Board of Visitors, Foundation Board of Trustees, Cadet Club Board of Governors, and the Alumni Association Board of Directors, the VMI Parents Council, distinguished representatives from other colleges and universities, and members of our Commonwealth's government, including the Honorable Fran Bradford, Deputy Secretary of Education, the Honorable Janice Underwood, Chief Diversity Officer, and the Honorable Senator Tommy Norman, VMI Class of 1968. I also want to thank my personal friends, those friends of Cassandra and myself, who came from near and far, having expressed and experienced the knowing bonds of brotherhood, which include my fraternity brothers of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity, and especially my brother rats from the class of 1985. Thank you for your continued support over the many years. As I look around me, I see friends too numerous to name individually. Their dedication to the Institute has been its strength and will be so in the future. There are few individuals, however, who on this occasion I would like to mention. First of all is Colonel Ed Claiborne, who was my faculty advisor and head of the economics department when I was here at VMI. Colonel Buzzy Snyder, VMI Class of 1956, who was my Commandant of Cadets. Coach Charlie Smouse, VMI Class of 1966, and Coach Marty Fletcher, who were my coaches on the VMI basketball team. And the Class of 1985 President Jim Chartier. I also want to remember and honor the individuals who've led VMI since my days as a cadet. General P, General Bunting, General Knapp, who's with us today, and General Walker. Their leadership and vision have brought our institute to the high level it enjoys today. And lastly, I want to thank my entire family for their support, especially my wife, Cassandra, my children, Matthew and Asia, and my mother, Mrs. Hazel Wins. Thank you. Before us are the young men and women for whom these and so many other dedicated men and women, faculty, coaches, staff, alumni, have labored so diligently for over the decades. These cadets have sought the challenging path towards a VMI education and a degree. Corps of Cadets, First Captain, you look superb on parade today. We are proud of you, and I appreciate the honor that you pay Cassandra and me. Central to Virginia's Central to VMI's rich heritage is the fundamental principles upon which the Institute was established: honor and integrity, a love of learning, courageous leadership, consideration for all others, and selfless service. Generations of cadets have stood where you stand. They have come and gone, but our fundamental principles remain the focus of this institute. They guide us in all that we do. They inspire us and they challenge us to excel. VMI is strong and will remain forward-focused. Since our founding, we have weathered many storms and they have helped us to improve. Our foundation is solid and not easily shaken. I refer to the fundamental ideas and systems that have sustained the Institute throughout its long history. VMI remains essentially what it always has been: a disciplined community for learning and leadership development, dedicated to the highest standards of integrity and personal honor. How must we proceed if we are to continue along the path blazed by our forefathers and founders? First and foremost, our commitment to excellence and high achievement in our academic programs must continue, with the very best instruction that stimulates intellectual growth and lifetime of learning. We must imbue in our cadets a sense of service in the historic tradition of the VMI citizen soldier. We must set an environment that builds on our tradition and our fundamentals, focusing on learning, character, and leader development of all cadets, regardless of race and gender. And we must promote a lifelong commitment to sportsmanship, competitive achievement, health and fitness through organized sports and a rigorous daily regimen. And finally, we must strengthen our commitment to a sense of commonality, of purpose, and of community based on mutual respect and selfless service. I regard this key to the arsenal as a key not only to the past, but a key to VMI's future. Soon, our institute will celebrate its 200th anniversary. Between that time and now, the pace of change in the world will continue to accelerate. Much of that is familiar to us and will be transformed, and we will witness momentous events. I'm confident in our basic principles and in the combined talents of the entire VMI community. I welcome these challenges and look to the future with confidence and optimism. Our mission is clear, the path is marked. Let us begin our journey together. Thank you.
The regimental commander will now post the colors.
Bring your battalion to attention.
Hey! Attention! Battalion! Attention! Battalion!
Colors! Halt!
Right. 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 Color. Hold.
March!
Left. Right. Right. Left. Left. Right.
March.
Left. Left. Right. Left. Right. Right. Left. Left, right, left, right, reverse, left, left, right, right, left. Color, hold. Pass and review.
Pass! And review!
The regimental commander will now pass the corps in review. Taking the review today is the superintendent, Major General Wins.
Right! Hey! Right! Face! Hot order! Up!
major of the pipe band is Cadet Luis E. Ramirez Dale, a psychology major from McAllen, Texas. The pipe major is Cadet Emily M. Liska, a Spanish and International Studies double major from Irwin, Pennsylvania. Commanding 1st Battalion is Cadet Captain Michael M. Hoffman, a History and International Studies major from Yorktown, Virginia. Commanding Alpha Company is Cadet Captain Grady O. Beasley, a Civil Engineering major from Chesapeake, Virginia. Commanding Bravo Company is Cadet Captain Zach S. Wright, a History major from Broadway, Virginia. Commanding Charlie Company is Cadet Captain Garrett R. Johnson, Electrical and Computer Engineering major from York, Pennsylvania. Ladies and gentlemen, as the colors pass your location, please stand and render proper honors. When the colors have passed, you may be seated. Commanding the Color Guard is Cadet Regimental Sergeant Major Blake T. Smith, an Economics and Business major from Richmond, Virginia. Commanding 2nd Battalion is Cadet Captain Max C. Burke, a Mechanical Engineering major from Roanoke, Virginia. Commanding Delta Company is Cadet Captain Mary C. Madison, a Psychology major from Woodbridge, Virginia. Commanding Echo Company is Cadet Captain Hannah N. Yoder, an English major from Coatesville, Pennsylvania. Commanding Foxtrot Company is Cadet Captain Charles J. Jones, a history major from Kenilworth, England. Commanding 3rd Battalion is Cadet Executive Officer Brett A. Trahan, a biology major from Bixby, Oklahoma. Commanding Golf Company is Cadet Captain Sean P. Vonderhaar, a Mechanical Engineering major from Milford, Ohio. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing of the VMI Spirit. Please remain in place to allow the superintendent, Mr. Watchet, and the official party to depart the area. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's parade. On behalf of the Corps of Cadets, thank you for attending. We hope you enjoy the rest of your visit to the Virginia Military Institute.